Oh, hi. I'm Randy Hume, toiling away at the Atlantic Media Institute. It is my sincere hope that I will land a position at a television station, and to that end, I've made a demo of my talents. I hope after seeing my demo, you will agree that I can do a lot of different things, and all of them pretty well. I hope to hear from you soon. Please enjoy my demo, and I'll try to make it as quick and painless as possible. Thank you.
When the snow starts to fly, people may start to worry about our feathered friends. A local birder says that we don't have to panic, but we can certainly offer a little help.
Birds that are here throughout the winter are used to spending winters on their own. They'll take advantage of feeders when they're offered. Yours, your neighbors, they'll wander the neighborhood. But 90% of their diet is still going to be wild food. So it's not necessary for the birds that you feed them. It's much more of a pleasure for us. If you want to do it, by all means go ahead, but do it all year round, not just in the winter.
Another consideration when setting up your backyard bird sanctuary, it has to be safe. Safe from the carnivorous house cat. Then you can think about laying out the seed.
The first thing to be warned against is don't use the all-encompassing mixed bags of seed that are sold in a lot of stores. They usually include a lot of seeds that in fact none of the birds will eat. It's best to buy different types of food separately and then do your own mixing. You only need 3 or 4 different kinds of food. Black sunflower seed, which is called oil seed, is your best all-around single seed if that's the only one you want to feed. Lots of birds like it.
Bird feeders must also be kept clean so that your birds do not become sick and spread disease. There is one healthy bird species you can expect to see here in Halifax.
Most people in HRM living in the city or in suburban areas will certainly get black-capped chickadees. As a matter of course, it'll probably be the first bird that will show up. And they'll be there all year round. It's a very widespread common bird, and people really like it.
If you are not putting food out for specific birds, you may get some unwelcome visitors.
If you feed bread, if you feed some of this bad mixed bird seed, if you just throw corn on the ground, you'll attract birds at your feeders which you may not want to have, such as starlings and pigeons. Most people don't want those birds at their feeders. They're introduced species. Some people don't like them.
After feeding the birds that stay here all winter, don't forget to feed the ones that return in the spring. But do it for the love of birds, not out of fear. Mother Nature takes care of her own. For AMI Newswatch, I'm Randy Hume. I have in my hand tonight's top 10 list. Number 10, help train the dogs and make better potential pets. Number 9, help build a website for the shelter. Number 8, design a computer program that matches owners to the right type of pet. Number 7, if you have legal skills, donate those. Number 6, if you have accounting skills, volunteer those. Number 5, organize an office event with the proceeds going to the shelter. Number 4, spend time with the cats and decrease their stress. Number 3, write a newsletter for the shelter. Number 2, throw a big party and donate the proceeds to your shelter. And invite me. And the number 1 way to aid your local animal shelter, pick up a hammer and show off your construction skills. These are some of the issues that the Nova Scotia SPCA deals with. Contact the Nova Scotia SPCA and ask how you can help. 87 years ago, Halifax was knocked off its foundations. 2 ships collided in the harbor, and unfortunately, one of them was stuffed with explosives. The Maritime Museum has a section dedicated to the Halifax explosion, and recently they've added items that represent a legendary act of heroism from that time.
Well, the most recent pieces that we've added into the museum's collection about the Halifax explosion are pieces that belong to Vincent Coleman, who was the heroic railway dispatcher that most people remember from the CBC vignette. And rather than abandon his post when he heard that there was a ship on fire in the harbor that was likely to explode, he stayed where he was at his telegraph key to make sure that the trains coming into Halifax were stopped. He thereby saved countless lives, but of course he was killed instantly by the explosion.
A lot of people are drawn to the museum to see the Titanic display. When they leave, the explosion story sticks with them. After all, more people died in the Halifax explosion than in the sinking of the Titanic. However, some did live to tell the tale.
I'd have to say my favorite explosion story, just for the sheer gravity of the situation and the remarkable history is the James Pattison story. Here's a young boy who is on his way to school with his two brothers, older brothers Alan and Gordon, and they see the ship on fire in the harbor, and of course any thoughts of schoolwork just sort of goes right out the window, and so they go down to see what's going on. The explosion takes place, and James is thrown up against a brick wall, and when he goes to try to stand up, as I say, he finds this piece of sheet metal sticking through his backpack, and he credits this with saving his life. It's an important
2007 will mark the 90th anniversary of the explosion. This auspicious occasion should further remind everyone of the pre-atomic age when cities were not intentionally blown apart.
That's right. The Halifax explosion was the largest man-made explosion until the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in '45. And armed with the manifest for the Mont Blanc and knowing the tonnage of all the explosives on board, the folks that were working on the Manhattan Project, like Oppenheimer, were able to multiply that by the megatonnage of a nuclear blast, and they had some idea of the area of destruction that an atomic bomb drop would result in.
The museum anticipates that as the last remaining explosion survivors continue aging, it may have the honor of adding more donated artifacts to the Halifax Wrecked exhibit. It is said we must learn from history so that we don't repeat it. Hopefully we will keep learning from this darkest event in Halifax's history well past its impending 100th anniversary in 2017. In Halifax, I'm Randy Hume for Newswatch. Friday, after the noonday cannon, out of the mists of time marched the 78th Highlanders Regimental Band. Ordinarily they perform inside the Citadel, but today they marched out of the Citadel and started a winding route to Grand Parade at City Hall.
What did I tell you? Quick and painless. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon. I'm Randy Hume.